Okay guys, so oh, I think I figured out the problem with it not returning the right thing, so I'm gonna walk through what I changed. And yeah, so as you can see, it works with strings, numbers, and booleans. I actually wrote a test program real quick just to. I had the configuration test number, test string, and test boolean with each with their own values. So it was just config.getting test space string or test space boolean or test space number based off what I typed. But let's go to this here. So first, I noticed something when I was editing the last video. I had accidentally done file and then made exist be a string, so I just fixed that in the file API. But let's go. Oh, not zoom out. Ooh, now it's too small for me. Let's zoom in just a bit. It's nice and big. So the first thing is it was having trouble if it needed to read more than one line. Okay, it's not the first thing, but that is one thing. I'm gonna go down. So I added a local text line equals just a string that's a spacebar, and then this while loops for as long as the information in the line, or like when you know how it reads line, uh, with which I don't think we ever closed that actually. So we could just config.close because we don't check it at all after that, so we can just close that. But so instead of having it do, because it turned out that it wasn't true. I thought it was, but apparently I was wrong. That the line number becomes 2 when there's nothing left to read in the file. So I had to make it be as long as the text is not nil, which means that there's nothing there in that line. That line doesn't exist. So as long as the line exists, do another line. So the last thing in cconfig is always nil, but that's fine because I'm never going to reference that. Other than that, this while loop's the same, and then we do config.close, and then this is all the same. I think that's the same. Then it's the same. Isn't that? I think it. Oh, one other thing I changed. I just made this a little bit. I just changed this. It used to be a 4, now it's a 5. That gets rid of the space bar. I think that's it. Yeah, alright, I think that's it. So now, if we look here, if we edit the configs / test, which is the config file I'm using, it does work with your config can have spacebars in it. And so just test string equals string test. And then test number equals number2. Test boolean equals boolean true. So if I just say false here, and then I could say 5, and I could say hello world. And the string can use spaces. Now actually I don't need a reboot because it's the same file. Go test string, prints hello world. I can go test number, and we'll print 5. I can go test boolean, we'll go false. So, and the test program I'm using here is really simple. It just gets the arguments, then it says config is equal to config.get test space dot arguments 1. So the first thing you type without any spaces will be the thing. It will check the config test for a setting of test space whatever you type as your first argument, and if config is equal to nil, then print nil, which is what we had last time. It was equaling nil, so it just was printing like a blank line. Then print otherwise. So if it doesn't equal nil, then just print whatever it returned. So actually, why was it returning nil? I think that's the first thing I figured out. I can't remember why it was returning nil. Yeah. Well, it was returning nil for a reason that I don't know. Let's quickly reload that. So yeah. That works. But still, the only way for you to set it is to go and modify the configuration file from the edit program. There's no way to modify it using like functions or anything. You have to actually manually do it. So you can't do it during a program. I guess you could do fs.open, fs.append, and then change it, or you could do write and find the variable and then change that and then rewrite it, and it would be hard and difficult, and I think it would be easier if we just did that for them. So, first thing we need to do is we need to do get config and then the name and bool reason. No, text. So first what we're doing is we're seeing if it already exists. So first of all, if text equals false, then and return false. Config does not exist. So basically, if this returns false, that's because the configuration does not exist, meaning that we'll just return, or actually we can just return text reason, because it's the exact same reason. It doesn't exist. So we'll just return what this returns, if that equals false. Otherwise, if text is equal to nil, then, and this is where, actually no, maybe we won't do that yet. But if it does equal nil, that means that the value doesn't exist yet, or it was set to nil, which, yeah, but, so actually if it returns nil, it's very simple to add it. So let's just do that. If text is equal to nil, then fs.open configs / config. So now that will open that in append mode. So what this means is it will add it to the
Where are you?
3, 2, 1. So what this will do is it will open the file, and if I do something like config.write, it will, instead of doing what write does, which is what we used up here, we used read, what we used here, never mind, we used it in the file API, but what write does is it empties the entire file, deletes all the information, and puts in the information that you give it. What append does is it adds the information onto the end. So, we just need to write name equals, actually, no, that's not true. We need to figure out the values. So if, I'm going to check to see if there's an is string or whatever, and I'll be back to see if there's an easy way of figuring out if there's a string. If there isn't, then it'll be a little harder, but we'll see. Okay, so as far as I can tell, there isn't like an is number or whatever, but when you do toNumber, if it isn't a number, it returns false. And you can just toString it to, well, actually there's no way of knowing if it's a string, but if it isn't a boolean or a number, then it's a string. Or it's nil, which I want it to be. So if value, well, let's do this to be sure. Then, not end. We'll worry about that part next. Else if value is false, then else if else. Local num equals value equals toNumber value. This is to check if it's a number. And actually, this will come in as a string, I think. No, it will come in as whatever type they enter. So if they enter a number, it will come in as a number or whatever. So we want to make sure it's a number. So if they enter it as a string, that's a number. It'll come in as a number anyway, because we're toNumbering it. Maybe they want it to be a string in the form of the number. If that makes sense, like, edit configs / what if they wanted this to be a string, and let's say 5. So it's not a number, like you can't use it in math and all that, but it's a string. So they could they could do hello world, like they could get hello world, and then they could use like the ... and combine it with 5 and say hello world 5, like that. But that wouldn't work if the way I'm doing it, because it checks, it goes toNumber, and then if it is nil, then it's fine. But if it were like a string that says 5, you know, I'm gonna check a couple more ways, see if there's a way of doing it so that I can still see, so I can keep the string from that. I'll be back in a second. So it turns out that I was very, very non-intelligent, and it's pretty simple. And there's actually a very simple for that. And then you just put value, and that will return string if it's a string, number if it's a number, and, well, boolean if it's a boolean. Or I can just, since it's the only other type, put that in an else. So there we go. And now we, it's a number, and it should already be a number, so we just, you need to know this so that we can do config.write, and then we put in here name dot space equals n space dot value, and then we put those in there, and now we just copy this and change this to an S and this to a B. So, oops. And so, yeah. Okay, so yeah, so that's all it is for writing if it doesn't already exist. But if it does exist, then we need to get all the data, change it, and put it back in. So we're actually going to use what we used up here for getting an entire thing. So for this loop, so it's so now that'll read the whole thing. You just need to open it in write mode this time. Because we're going to be undo. I have no idea what I just did, but there we go, I fixed it. Okay, that's what I really like, is there's an undo. So let's see here. Line text, cconfig. So cconfig is the thing. So let's local cconfig equals that table, a blank table. Okay. So that gives us a list of the entire thing. And now we had a way of getting the value and the name. This is what we want. Name line, okay. CName equals name, then line equals m break. So this searches through the whole thing to find something equal to name. So let's bring this down here. Let's now give the CName, all that, so to find thing equal to name, which I think is what our, which is also what we refer to here. But name, we actually want configs slash dot dot. Okay, there we go. So config's folder name, and the name could have like multiple directories, so they could. This is an out-of-the-box way of doing this. If you want to have configs in more and more directories, you can go to lua config dot add, and then the name of your config can be dir slash test slash example, and then alright, this needs to be in those things. So you add that and true. Now you exit. Now you go list configs. Gives you that should have added cd configs list. Yes, and then there's a directory called dir. You can go cd dir dir. And now there's another one called test, and you can go cd to test, and then you have example here, which is your config file. Now that is a lot of like folders, and you'd only do that for organizing things with like a big program with tons of configs if you want to put them all in one thing. Personally, I wouldn't do that, but well, bonus of reloading things. 69. Okay, I have to save this, so edit configs as an equal expected on 69. There should be an equals expected there. Okay. Did I accidentally delete that by accident? Okay, let me go put that back. Okay, so this will give us what line in cconfigs is M. So now we're gonna go cconfigs or cconfig line equals